Alright, Trajan, I'm going to show you this basic Nordic plant deck that I've come up with that I think is really good. I just did really well in locals that include some top players in the country,
Jeff
um,
Jones.
to name a few. But anyway, the basic start of the deck is Tengen Joster of the Nordic Beast. You run 3 of those. You run 3 gold facts of the Nordic Beast. This is the basic Nordic engine right here. These 2 cards work together better than all of the other Nordic monsters do. If you run a Nordic only deck, the problem with it is it takes too many resources for you to summon. If you're using Valkyrie and that gets warning, then you just lost out. If you use Vanitas, you know that all it does is it's a normal summon. You already have to have stuff on the field, and it doesn't work with these cards here. These are the 2 Nordic monsters that work really well together. Next is the plant engine. 2 Lone Fire Blossom, 1 Glow Up Bulb, 1 Spore, 1 Dandelion. Okay, this is self-explanatory. Anybody that runs a plant engine knows that these are the basic 5 cards of a plant deck. Next up, Reborn Tengu. Of course, you run this in triplicate, 3 of those. This is the basic engine of this deck. Really, ideally, you would want to have, on the first turn, to be able to summon Reborn Tengu, have it take up some of your opponent's resources trying to get rid of them, and even as it dies in battle, you special summon Tengen Joster, and then in defense position, next turn, turn it to attack position to summon Goldifax, and if everything worked out correctly, you would have a Reborn Tengu, a Tengen Joster, and a Goldifax on the field. And all it cost you 2 cards in your hand, and you may have taken up 2 or 3 of their resources getting this. Easy into a Black Rose play, a Scrap Dragon, Stardust Dragon. There's so many things. This deck summons level 7 and 8 synchro monsters very, very easily with Reborn Tengu and Goldfax. This is the basic engine. All the other cards are personal preference. You know, if you want to tinker with this and figure out how to make it work better for you, then you can. All the rest of the cards I'm going to show you are ones that you can change out according to your preference. But this is how I built it. I play 1 of the Tengen Gristner of the Nordic Beast, and really, it just puts more resources out there, more more card presence for me, because I have a lot of tuner monsters, and just to have stuff on the field that I can sync with is perfect. So I happen to run 1 of those, but it's not mandatory. 2 Effect Veilers. The reason I chose Effect Veilers is because I run 1 for 1, as you'll see later. And what I discovered when I didn't run Effect Veiler is I'd have a 1 for 1 with no targets, because of my Glow Up Bulb and my Spore were already either in my hand or in the graveyard. So this adds 2 more targets for my 1 for 1, which makes 1 for 1 all that more effective. So that's the secondary reason, aside from the fact that it can, help escape a Caius or a Brionic or a Trish. People are loving those Trishula plays, and now you have Effect Veiler to stop that. I run 2 Raikos. Basically, I'm just trying to get rid of back rows. There's not a lot of monsters that I'm scared of, so I try to get rid of back rows with Raiko. Or if I'm trying to do a Tengen Joster play, if they have 2 monsters on the field, they attack Raiko, I destroy the other monster, special summon this Tengen Joster monster. Next turn, I got Goldifax into Black Rose. There's so many plays that you can do with that. So that Raiko helps if you're trying to get a Tengen Joster play out. Then you have 1 Gores, obvious, 1 Sanguine, fairly self-explanatory, and one titanial. Oh, one titanial, because sometimes, when you have a problem on the field that you're trying to solve, and Lone Fire into titanial is pretty good. People underrate this card, but it saves monsters from dimensional prison, and no Book of Moons, no enemy controllers. It does a lot of things to prevent your opponent from doing things. And then one Caius. I'll have a lot of tokens because I play this Tengen Gristner. I'll have a lot of tokens on the field with that, and Dandelion, the ability to glow up bulb and spore. Caius is just a very high utility monster that gets rid of a problem that you may have on the field. So that is the monster lineup. Next, we'll look at the spell lineup. Now, almost all of the spells are personal preference. There's no, you can run whatever you want, but I run enemy controller because one of the problems with this deck is defense. Like, how do I defend myself? Because I just explained I have tokens on the field a lot. Enemy controller, tribute a token, take control of one of your opponent's monsters that may be causing a problem. Lots of things you can do. Enemy controller, highly versatile, protects you. If I have a monster out like Stardust Dragon and I don't want it to die by battle, the enemy controller helps out a lot. 2 Pot of Avarice. Of course, anybody running any kind of plant version is going to run Pot of Avarice. 1 Mind Control. I'm running 7 tuner monsters. Mind Control is a no-brainer. 1 for 1. Self-explanatory. Foolish Burial. Self-explanatory. 1 MST. Now, a lot of people will, maybe not run a Mind Control and run 2 MST, or hold back on the enemy controller, run 2 MST, or when the new format comes in, run 3 MST. That's completely up to you. 1 Book of Moon, 1 Giant Trunade, which will eventually become Heavy Storm, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Dark Hole, and that's basically the spell lineup. Again, this is, your choice, whatever you think. I'm pretty sure people will run some version of these when the new list comes out. Probably Raikou goes away out of my deck, as well as a Pot of Avarice, because you don't want to mill your only Pot of Avarice if you play it. So in the next format, you'll probably replace the 2 Raikous with 2 Super Nimble Mega Hamsters to get to your Tengen Joster quicker. Alright, so that's it for the spells. Next up, we have the traps. Now, every deck that has a Rhoda, some version of a Rhoda, should play it. And that's what I do. This Gleipnir, the Fetters of Fenrir. I play 2 of these. And basically, I'm trying to get to either or. I'm trying to get to Goldfax, or I'm trying to get to Tengen Joster. And it's a beautiful thing when somebody's attacking, you activate this card, you get your Tengen Joster, your card is destroyed, your monster is destroyed by battle, special summon the monster you just added to your hand via Gleipnir. Really good play. People hate to see it because now, they've got an extra effect that they have to deal with that they weren't really expecting. They might have been expecting Mirror Force or Enemy Controller or Book of Moon, but now they got a problem that they have to solve that they may not have thought about. Especially if it's game 1, if it's game 1 of a match and you don't know your opponent and they don't know what you're playing. So, 1 Call of the Haunted. Again, I have those tuners in the graveyard. Big synchro monsters will be in the graveyard. I want ways to get those out. Now, here's an interesting thing. I run 1 Bottomless Trap Hole and 1 Solemn Warning. And this is because I'm very confused as to what I really want to run. Do I really want to run 2 Bottomless and no Solemn Warning, or 2 Solemn Warning and no Bottomless? That's completely up to what you want to do. Right now, this is just my schizophrenia. So at some point, I'll make a decision and run 2 of one of them, and that'll be that. 1 Mirror Force, Staple, and 1 Solemn Judgment. So that's pretty much the deck. You can make up your extra deck. The only extra deck item that you must run is Thor, the Aesir god. See if I have it here, along with all the other staples. But Thor, Lord of the Aesir. You don't have to run any other Nordic god monsters. In fact, you can't summon any of the other ones. So you might as well just run Thor. On that occasional time that you can summon it, this becomes a big problem for your opponent. Again, the deck is designed for your opponent to expend resources trying to get rid of stuff. It doesn't take you a lot of resources to create these monsters, but it takes your opponent a lot of resources to get rid of them. So the weakness of this deck is any type of skill drain or royal oppression type thing that's shutting you down. But you can handle those in the side deck. So that is the deck. Hope you enjoyed it.
Subscribe.